Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our beginner anime recommendation guides. I know it's been a while, I'm sorry for the hold up, but part 2 is here. So within the first parts, I've dove into the categories of action, adventure, fantasy, and drama, and give you guys 2 anime to recommend. Make sure to check out that video. You don't have to because these 2 aren't really related, but if you're into like those categories, make sure to check it out. But within this video, we're going to be diving into the category of comedy, haha, fun, romance, sad, sci-fi / supernatural. I grouped these 2 together because I can't be bothered to make 2 separate categories for these 2, and also slice of life. But at the very end of the video, I've snuck in a little bit of sports for all you sports anime fans. So without further ado, let's get into this video real quick, real high. Starting off with comedy. They say laughter is the best medicine, so here I am, acting like the doctor to your cure. I will cure your depressing life with my anime recommendations, so buckle up because I will be recommending you guys Kaguya-sama, Love is War, and The Disastrous Life of Scifi. The setting of Kaguya-sama Love is War takes place in the student council of a prestigious high school where only the sons and daughters of the most wealthy and most successful people can attend. Our first main character, the vice president of the student council, Shinomiya Kaguya. She was born in a super wealthy family with maids, butlers, and all that, and she was raised as a kid to learn, master, and be good at basically everything. Our other main character, on the other hand, Miyuki Shirogane. He's the student president, but he has a family background of divorced parents, living averagely with his dad and a younger sister. So you may be asking, how did this bum get to go to this school and nonetheless become the student council president? The answer is his godlike grades, beating over everyone in school, including Kaguya, to take the first spot on top. And thus, we have a little fun rivalry between the 2 characters, but at the same time, they're also developing feelings for one another. However, due to their pride, they think that by confessing first, it is basically admitting defeat, and thus, they play these mind games with one another to try to make the other person admit their feelings. It's very funny to see the internal monologues of the characters that they have with themselves in their own heads as they try to put on a tough front on the outside because they're all so unique and witty. But the biggest catch of the show are its side characters. Now moving on to Scifi, this show is even more casual than Kaguya-sama Love is War. The main character is called Saiki Kusuo, and he was born with psychic powers that is out of this world. Even the likes of Gojo, after looking at him, would be like, damn, this boy is something else. Like for example, he accidentally made time loop from sleeping. But anyways, he attends a normal high school to try to have a normal life, but because he's a psychic, he basically knows everything that's going on. He's able to read people's mind and stuff, but he chooses to live life on autopilot, meaning that with great power comes with basically no responsibility. He doesn't try to do anything extra, he just wants to live a chill life, be a low-key person, and enjoy his coffee jelly in peace. Therefore, the anime will always try to throw a bunch of funny yet awkward scenarios around him for us to see how he would cope in those situations. Now moving on to romance. This category breaks millions of hearts every year. Weeps rather get COVID than get reminded of how sad their romantic life is. Even when the market is crashing as we're entering an upcoming recession, best believe that the sales of body pillows will not plummet. So in part 1 of this video, under the drama category, I've recommended Fruits Basket, which is a good drama but also holds itself as a strong contender for good romance. But I'm here to give you 2 new ones anyways, because that's just the whole point of this video. Also keep in mind guys, with these categories, the anime that I recommend may not be the best of the category, but rather the best for beginners, if you know what I mean. For example, I wouldn't recommend anime such as My Youthful Romantic Comedy is Wrong as I Expected due to the various twists and turns within this plot. And I also don't want to recommend anything sad because using tragedy as a way to fuel a good romance story is just not something I want to do. So therefore, with that being said, I will be recommending Kaichuwa Maid-sama and My Dress Up Darling. I can just hear some controversial opinions coming in. When it comes to romance, it's very easy to picture a school setting and falling in love with the cutest boy or girl in the entire school. It's much more relatable this way because I'm assuming that most of you guys are still in school and are somewhat introverted and wishing for your romantic fantasy to take place someday. Kaichuwa Maid-sama takes place when the biggest playboy in high school called Usui Takumi finds out about the secret life of the student council president called Ayuzawa Misaki. Although at school she's very strict, uptight, and constantly make people follow school rules, but guess what? She secretly works as a maid. But this second life of hers to try to make more money as a maid was never meant to be found out, especially not by someone like Usui. Now he holds this secret over her, and you know their school life are about to get spicy. Next up, we have My Dress Up Darling. This is another anime where a secret is being exposed, except it's in the other direction. This time we have our boy, Gojo Satoru. Just kidding, Gojo Wakana. He's the biggest nobody in school. Wholesome, but a nobody. He has this hobby where he sews clothing for traditional Japanese dolls, so you know he has no game with the girls at all. But by whatever anime magic, he comes across arguably the hottest girl in their school, Marin Kitagawa. And turns out, she has a low-key secret that she's into anime cosplay and the Garu culture. She discovers that Gojo can sew, and so she approached him to help her with making her cosplay, and thus, a beautiful romance has started. Even though the majority of guys watching this has cursed Gojo to death for being the lucky bastard that he is, trust me, this romance is actually pretty wholesome and very interesting. Got it! So kawaii! Before we get started into the video, this is sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakuraco Snack Box. Tokyo Treats on the left and Sakuraco on the right. For this month, we have the limited edition Halloween themed box for Tokyo Treats. You'll be able to find a lot of exclusive and limited edition spooky Japanese snacks with special Halloween packaging in the box, such as the Halloween sweet potato Kit Kats and their infamous Tokyo layered loaves, this time in maple pumpkin flavor. On the other hand, we have Sakuraco in collaboration this month with their local Ibaraki government, and we want you to try out their culinary rich treats. Ibaraki being a major agriculture center in Japan, they're going to present you a variety of crunchy and fruity snack options in various flavors within the box. Don't mind me struggling to open up the tableware that come with it, but if you want all the descriptions on these goodies, make sure to check out the description below. Hope you enjoy. Moving on to sci-fi and supernatural. Here I'm going to be grouping sci-fi and supernatural together because many of these genres kind of overlap each other, and also because I'm lazy, but I will be giving you guys 3 for this category because Christmas came early. First up, we have Death Note. This is a classic anime of all time. Normally I'd say sub over dub, but with Death Note, I can say sub equals dub. The plot here is almost self-explanatory in the title. A student called Light Yagami found a Death Note that was dropped from the sky in his schoolyard one day. He takes it home but doesn't really believe it until he tried it for fun against a criminal that he saw on TV. He wrote down his name, and soon enough, the criminal on TV died, and he's like, God damn, this is legit. So then he decided to try to act as a god and cleanse his world full of crimes. The police noticed these random unexplained deaths and decided to investigate on who's doing all of this under the command of L. And thus one of the greatest intellectual battle in anime history began here with Light versus L. Next up, we have Code Geass, and this show takes place in a world where nations are fighting each other using human-piloted robots, which at first glance may turn off some people because you just go watch Gundam or something. But it's much more interesting than that, so hear me out. In the year 2010, the Holy Empire of Britannia has conquered Japan and established itself as a military dominant nation. Japan, defeated, on the other hand, has tried its best to resist the tyrant ruling of Britannia over the years, and this is where our main character comes in, Lelouch Lamperouge, who is secretly a Britannia prince that was exiled to Japan. With an IQ so high that he is often argued to be on par or even better than Light or L from Death Note. And one day he met a mysterious person that granted him the power of Geass, which contained the power of absolute obedience. So whatever he says something to someone, they get brainwashed immediately and will act out his will. And you can imagine how that is, combined with his high IQ. Therefore, with his newfound power, he took up the role as the leader of the resistant army from Japan and rebelled against Britannia. It's very nice to see his big brain plays through the rebelling battles, and even towards the end, he took in consideration of the whole picture that would affect the fate of the two nations. Lastly, we have The Promised Neverland, but only watch the first season because the anime butchers the second season. Now imagine living in an orphanage on a farm along with many other orphans being raised together by a motherly figure, which they will refer to her as mother. And then they'll tell you that once you become 12, you get to be sent out to a foster home and live a happy life. Well, turns out once you do become 12, you actually become food shipped out to demons to eat, since now you taste good after being cultivated for 12 years. Now you must escape, but how? Man, these rings are actually so jiggly, they're actually kind of annoying. I'm never wearing a hat again. But seriously, like how? The farm where the children live on are closed off by a fort. And even at the edge of the forest, there are tall walls. I'm not saying they're as tall as the walls in AOT, but they're tall enough to hold back kids 12 and under. So how do you escape? Go watch the anime. Next up, we have Slice of Life. This is the category to sit back and relax and wash away the sorrows from your lack of romance, or, you know, to take a break from the thrilling enjoyments from the supernaturals. So for beginners, I'll be recommending you guys Nannan Bayari and Violet's Evergarden. With Nannan Bayari, the show takes place when one of the main characters moved away from Tokyo to an isolated village with her family in a rural area. This place is so small that within the school that she attends, there are only 5 students. So the show is not carried by the setting, but rather by its unique characters. And so we would just watch them do the normal day-to-day stuff, but for some reason, they would just make every situation so entertaining. Next up, we have Violet Evergarden, and our story follows a young girl called Violet who was raised as a killing machine for the sake of war. Everyone used her as a tool for battle until a major within the army took her in and treated her as a proper human child and gifted her her name, Violet. After the war was finally over and things were settling down, Violet was separated from her major that seemed to have died in the final battles of the war, but she didn't know that, and so she tried to live her life until she's able to meet him again. In the meanwhile, she found employment in an industry that only a selected few are able to do this job. It's a position where you transcribe people's thoughts and feelings into words on paper, since most people were illiterate at the time, so they weren't able to write their own letters, and also typewriters were only introduced around that era. As someone who was raised only for the purpose of war, she had a weak grasp on the concept of sympathy and empathy, or just speaking her thoughts emotionally at all. But slowly throughout her journey working as a person that is in position of delivering other people's feelings, she began to find her ways. So it's very wholesome to see something that blossoms from nothing into fruition. It's almost like raising a baby, except you're raising someone that's 16, I think, basically from nothing into something. And then after you can watch the movie. Violet Evergarden has a movie. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice. Pretty good. Last but not least, we're going to be going over sports. Rapid, quickly. This is not like one of those early categories where I'm gonna give you guys, you know, an explanation of whatever sports anime. This is just rapid fire quiz. So if you like basketball, watch Kuroko no Baskets and then consider Slam Dunk, because Slam Dunk came out much earlier. Maybe the animation is a little bit too old for you, but if you like Kuroko, consider Slam Dunk. If you like volleyball, just watch Haikyuu. If you like football or soccer, football. Soccer. Football is soccer in the UK. So then football is football in non-UK. If you like football or rugby, watch iShield 21. If you like baseball, watch One Out and then consider diving into Diamond no Ace. I know Diamond no Ace is like the standard for basketball, but it's too long. So I feel like One Out is like a quick 12 episode, good to watch, and then if you like that, you can check out Diamond no Ace. If you like boxing, watch Megalobox and then watch Hajime no Ippo. Same reason, Hajime no Ippo, although it's really good, one of my favorite anime, it's a little bit too long, so if you like Megalobox, then dive into Hajime no Ippo. If you like track and field or running, watch Run with the Wind. If you don't like any particular sports, then just check out Haikyuu and Kuroko no Basket. These are like the two household sports anime on the market right now. If you're more into plot and team bonding over action, then you can swap out Kuroko with Run with the Wind. So if you like plot heavy, Haikyuu and Run with the Wind. If you like more action, then Haikyuu and Kuroko, if this makes sense. I'm honestly such a great anime recommendation person that, look, I'm breaking things into graphs, into like, you know, the graph where it's like 2 circles on the side and then one in the middle that shares like common characteristics. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna need to go eat dinner. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe so for future content. And if you haven't watched my previous video, I would recommend you to check it out just to enjoy yourself as well. And you can probably tell that throughout this video I just gradually became more high and more high.